Good day to you, Jason here, Birchfield Family Farm. We are just west of Oxford, Ohio, and we're running grass-fed Red Devon cattle, St. Croix sheep, chickens, and Idaho pasture pigs in a rotational grazing system here, also helping new small farms and homesteads get established. We do a little bit of consulting work. If we can help you, you can contact us through the website, birchfieldfarms.com. I got a good word for you today. This comes from Psalm 145. I will exalt you, my God, the King. I will praise your name forever and ever. Every day I will praise you and extol your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord and most worthy of praise. His greatness no one can fathom. One generation will commend your works to another. They will tell of your mighty acts. They will speak of the glorious splendor of your majesty, and I will meditate on your wonderful works. They will tell of the power of your awesome works, and I will proclaim your great deeds. They will celebrate your abundant goodness and joyfully sing of your righteousness. May be blessed today wherever you are and wherever you're watching from. Blessing of the Lord on you and your family, your farms. We have a beautiful day today on the farm, mid-70s, a little bit humid. We've had between 3 and 4 inches of rain here this past week, especially this time of year, and even coming into July and August. I hesitate to complain about the rain in any way, because we'll be begging for it here come August and September. But everything is just going wild, growth-wise. We need to do a sheep move, cattle move. We'll check in with the meat birds and the layers. But I want to talk today about hay. We just had first cutting hay come in. I want to get a conversation going about hay and just what we've noticed with hay nutrition, kind of planning for, believe it or not, planning for winter. I mean, that's what we're doing here with hay and putting up the harvest for the winter time. But I want to talk through that and kind of what we've noticed. Okay, back here on a sheep move, we've got them in 3 or 4 electro nets here. I like running nets when we're lambing. And the way we're going to do this is we just got one net set up here. I'm going to go disconnect the battery on this other one. And then we'll open this up. We'll kind of move them into that one net, and that'll allow us to set up the 3 nets here for moving them back. There we go, little lammies looking good. And then we'll keep them in this one net area here. I think that's our little grafted guy at the back there. He's doing okay. I don't think Mama's got a whole lot of milk for him. Okay, got him in here, so we're gonna focus on getting this net set up. Then a little more work on the netting, but it's just what I like doing during lambing. Keeps everybody together, keeps the predators out. Just something that works for us here. So while we've got the sheep over there in the one net, while we move the 3 nets here, I wanted to show the impact. You know, this is a nasty, I believe that's a honey locust tree. You can see the thorns on it. Whew. Now those do produce a pod in the fall that can get pretty nutritious, pretty high in protein. But look at the impact. I kind of let them have this shrubby area here. Look at this is thick multiflora rose. Look at how they've stripped off all of the leaves down at the base. Just absolutely knocking back. You can see they had a little path around the tree there, as thorny as it is. I mean, they were in here, but I just wanted to show our sheep prefer the leaves on that multiflora rose. There must be something in there that they need, but it's just prime example. Look at this. You know, it's leafed out up here where they can't get to, and then look down here. I mean, to me, that looks more like goat impact, really. You know, stripping that back and stunting, if not killing, that multiflora rose, that's fine with me. So giving them lots of access to other stuff just besides pasture is important. Okay, I got my shepherdesses here. Sam went up to get some water. We've got our 3 nets set up. Let's talk here while we move them. So we've got 364-foot nets set up. So if we did that math, that's going to be like if I made a square out of all those. In other words, 164 times 3, and then make a square. I believe we'd be at about 123 feet on each side of that square. Anyway, we're going to be looking at about 0.35 acres. Hey Sawyer, you're going to have to go down there and get the rest of them out of the net. It's going to help you if you undo that corner there. See how they're hanging up in that corner? Yeah. So 0.35 acres over here where we're heading to. And if you do the math on that, let's say we've got 4,000 pounds of live weight animal here, which we don't. There's what, 35 ewes in here and all the lambs. Let's just say 4,000. 3.5%. We're going to need 3.5% of live weight, body weight in dry matter per day. This is always chaotic, right? Because they've got to move, and then all the babies got to find the mamas. There's our little bottle, our guy that we grafted there. Sawyer's getting the rest of them here. So anyway, that comes out to about 150 pounds per. Oh my goodness, are they stupid or what? Go around. 150 pounds of dry matter forage per day is what I need. Now we'll go over here and look at this. I would say most definitely, and we've intentionally left like this multiflora rose here, we've left that because they'll love the leaves on that. But I would say we have every bit of, if not more than 12 inches of forage. Now, some of your grazing gurus are saying 200 to 300 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre. Okay, so that's a calculation, y'all. You can do, and you can figure out what we found here. We just take a 1 square foot wood frame and put that down, and then chop everything inside of that square foot, and you'll get a number there on your weight of forage per square foot. And then this time of year you're going to be at probably close to 70% moisture. Okay, our little guy in there's going nuts trying to find mama. So anyway, we've got every bit of 12 inches here, but what we found is we're between 400 and 500 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre. So that number is a little bit low, that 200 to 300 number. When you hear that, we're 400 to 500. Again, test it wherever you're at, figure out what you've got. And then, basically we can back into that now. And if we say 12 inches on 0.35 acres here is going to be close to what our netting is. It's not a perfect square, but we know at 150 pounds per day that's needed, I can stay here a little over 8 days at 12 inches long. Now that's at 300 pounds per inch per acre. We will not be here anywhere near 8 days. Okay, probably stay about half that, just because I'm erring on the side of giving mamas more than they need. We've got more grass than we can use right now. So, and not a really great graze either. 4,000 pounds times what, 3? We're going to be about 12,000 pounds live weight per acre here. We're going to have to mow behind them. But again, we know that going in here. We got way more grass than we can use this year. But anyway, that might give you just an idea, on how you can figure how long you can stay in an area. That's how I do it. And you get better at it as time goes on at estimating. But yeah, look at them hitting this multiflora rose already. This is a great fit though for what we're doing on this initial graze here. Nobody's been on this yet this spring. I mean, look at all the multiflora rose we're in here. We've got some great shade. I believe that's either a mulberry or an Osage orange tree. And so they'll have all that cleared out. They'll hammer this multiflora rose over here. And then, the reason we've got all this, we rented this pasture last year, and it was not bush hogged. And so it was set stock grazed, and nobody cut it. And, that's on me. That's on me as landowner. I should have had that in a contract, and I did not, and that's okay. We've taken this ground back, though, and so we'll come in here, whatever they eat, obviously we'll give them that first, and then I'm going to come in here with the bush hog and just hammer just hammer all this, you know, all the ironweed, all the multiflora rows, you know, all this stuff. We'll hammer it to the ground, and this is what we want right here. We got some good stuff in here. We got some good clover, red clover, some white clover, some dandelion through here, ironweed, and gotten rid of most of the hemlock in here before they came in. I don't want to be messing with that stuff. But, you know, they're loving it. They're loving it. Look at her on that already. Okay, a couple of rams in here I'm actually starting to get somewhat concerned about, just because they are so big. I think we're about 50 days on most of these, and I've seen, look at, that's closest to us there. That's one of them. It's just a monster. I mean, I'm tickled pink. They're doing so well, but I see them. They're some of them get on the backs of the ewes already, and typically we don't have any problem, you know, weaning at, I don't know, 70, 75 days on those rams. Those rams are hard on mamas. But man, I've seen some of them here at 50 days old getting up on the backs of the ewes trying to breed them. Whew. We got some good ones this year. Okay, checking in on the meats here. Everybody doing pretty well. Just got them moved and fed. And I can't believe it, but we're under 3 weeks to processing here. And we process out, we dress out about a 4 to 5 pound bird in 9 weeks. And we get all this manure put down on pasture here. That's good. We're running them in paddock 11 here. And then typically we come behind the tractor and sow a warm season grazing mix. Is what we'll do, get the cover crop down. So everybody looking good out here. This is our layer tractor here again, on the back here, automatic water float valve there that shuts off in the bucket, and then that's going to feed that Plosson water in here. But we keep our nest box on the back where you can just open that up, gather eggs. But we pull around this, I think this is 10 by 12 here. This was our original design here on this chicken tractor, and we did it out of 2x4s, and it's just way too heavy. That thing is a tank. I can barely move it. So on that second one we did on the meat birds there, we made that out of we used a true 1x6 fence board and ripped that down the middle. So we made a true 1x3, and man, that thing's been about perfect weight wise. But I want to show this impact here. You know, you can see the pasture here. We just took the bush hog out and just hogged out a couple rows for them there, and we just pull them along. And look at this impact. This is one day here. Look at all the thatch mixed with the manure. That is gold, absolute gold. And look, you can see where the water was. But then looking back here, you know, you can go back, oh, what would this be, 7 or 8 days, and you can see, I mean, it is just like fully recovered, and it's like exploding. And anyhow, we have plans here. We're gonna put a little chicken door on the back of this thing and give them a net to kind of roam have a little bit more space here. Just to roam, and then not have to move the tractor quite as often. So that's coming here down the pike. Also we'd like to get pigs out here with them as well, kind of see what kind of disturbance we get with having both species together. But having them bunched up like this does create a pretty interesting thatch behind this tractor. Okay, cattle move here. Let's get them going. Come on, Moose. Come on, Moose. Come on. Come on, Em. Let's get everybody moved over. This is paddock 5 we're coming into, but we skipped it through the rotation here. We're at the very end, paddock 11. And let's get them moved here. That's I think that's Daisy closest to us. Here come the calves. And, there's Em. There's her calf there. That's a January calf. Woohoo, Louie. She is looking good. Says that one there. Big Pat, the bull, is back in with his ladies. We made it to here to June, so we'll have April, probably early April calves, which that'll be a huge improvement over January. So Petey the steer there is in the back, but looking at this that they're coming on to, looking pretty good. Yellow flower there. Is that alfalfa? Sure is. Look at that alfalfa. Good stuff there. We used a single strand of hot wire on the other side there. This paddock 5 is always kind of a pain to set up, right? We normally use an electronet, but I thought, you know, since it's just cattle, I bet we can get away with a single hot. But just because we use that barn so much there, we keep the feed for the meat birds in there, you know, so we're in and out of there every day, so it's pretty inconvenient to have to rope that off, but that's all right. We'll hit it on the way back through here at the end was kind of my thinking. Come on, Petey. I had this electronet up against so he's into some good stuff on the fence row there. Hey, come on, bud, I want to close you up. Let's go. Let's go. Go on. We should look him over anyway. Look at the fat on the tail head there. Not sure if you can see the wrinkles. He's looking pretty good. I think we're after the flush here. We need to get him in before fall on some beef is the plan. Okay, so what I really wanted to talk about today was hay, and I don't know, we'll kind of walk and talk here. We'll keep an eye on them, see how they react to that single hot wire here. I think the bigger cattle are going to be fine. It's just these calves, I'm not really sure. I think they're pretty good about staying with mama, so I think we'll be okay. But hay, I wanted to get into hay here, and we got first cutting hay. That is complete. That's what we wanted is in the barn, and that's a good thing. But I wanted to talk about just the difference between the different cuts of hay and what we've seen here. Again, everything I'm about to say is within our context. Let's go out here and get a look at Em and the bull here. This isn't really an ideal paddock. It kind of comes to a point here is the way we did it. But man, she's looking good. Whew. A little bit of fly pressure. Well, first cutting hay, what we did testing last year and what we saw a significant difference between first cut hay and third cutting hay. So I'm gonna throw some numbers at you here. I like looking at primarily 3 different numbers when we're testing, and those numbers are crude protein, TDN, total digestible nutrients, and then a number called RFQ. That's a relative forage quality. And that's kind of like an overall picture of what's going on. There he is. That boy is all grass. But our first cut, now these numbers are from last year. We sent in and had it tested. I thought it was pretty interesting, these numbers here. Our protein from first cut last year, I'll just throw up the test here so you can see. And I believe I got these underlined here, these 3 different items here. Protein was 6.7. Again, this is first cut, 6.7. TDN was 56.9. And then RFQ was 98.9. Now, that's on first cut. And there's this whole debate out there. Well, what is there really any difference between first, second, and third cutting hay? You know, aren't they all kind of the same? I mean, with ours here, it's all coming from the same field back there. You know, so what would be the difference? Well, look at these numbers on our third cut. So first cut, again, 7% protein, 56 TDN. This third cut, 19.3%. TDN was 60.9, RFQ was 123.4. So the difference there between our third cutting and first cutting hay, it's a difference of third cutting was 12.6% higher in protein, 4% higher in TDN, and 24.5% higher in RFQ. So a significant difference. Now, why in the world would that be? Well, I think in our context here, it goes back to that grass curve. You guys have heard me talk about that sigmoid curve of grass. I'll put that up here. It's from Andre Voisin's book, Grass Productivity. He is, in my opinion, the father of the sigmoid growth curve of grass. And you've heard Salatin say before, these 3 stages of grass: the infant stage, the teenage stage where growth is just exploding, and then that last stage, that reproductive or that elderly, probably better fit to say elderly stage, where we're putting on a seed head and growth really slows down. Now, you've got these gurus out there now, these grazing gurus that want to try and tell us that grass is best and it's in its highest nutritional state, okay, when it looks like this, when it's headed out, when it's seedy, okay, when it's all overgrown, and that's going to be the best. And I can tell you, based on my experience in our context, so take it with a grain of salt, again, our context, that is the exact same thing comparing first cutting hay to third cutting hay. And I always tell people, have it tested. You don't know what you've got until you have it tested. Ohio State University does all of our testing for us, and it's great. They do a great job. But this idea, this notion, oh, here's this single hot. Let's see how she reacts here. Oh yeah, they're going to respect it. But this notion that having longer pastures, now you're talking soil health, maybe you got a case there with more root growth, more organic matter, stomping that and making a case for thatch, okay. But don't talk to me about straight up livestock nutrition, how stuff that's seeded out, that is longer growth, it's in that elderly stage. Don't talk to me about how much more nutritious that is, because it's, in my context, I have the numbers to prove otherwise. Okay, so what's happening there on first cut? First cut is typically in the spring, okay, and it's going to be late spring, and what happens is that grass has just exploded, okay, and it's gone to seed. It's seeded out. I mean, the stuff that he cut this year, it was like lodged. It was so long that it lodged. It was laying over, with all the wind and the rain and everything. And what they're going for a lot of times when they're doing first cut is they're going for tonnage, okay? And a lot of these guys are making what's called silage or haylage. And so the first cut for them is just mainly tonnage. They just want, they just are after fiber. They're after roughage on that first cut. And so, nutrition is not really a huge concern. They want the tonnage to put it away. You got a lot of heavy growth there. And so what happens is, again, these numbers on first versus third cut hay are from the same field here, okay? 12.6% difference in protein, almost 25% higher RFQ just between the cuttings. And so what happens is, not only do you have that sigmoid curve of grass for, the stages of grass growth, but then you have seasonality as well. And what happens is they make first cutting hay this time of the year, and then you go in and you make second cutting, and you haven't, because the daylight hours are starting to fade, it gets hotter, less moisture, grass growth slows down, and so you have a shorter grass, a shorter stand that's being cut. Okay, that's exactly what's going on. And then you get to third cut, like last year, these numbers, so that we had some drought kind of stuff rolling through. And so you're going to have a very, and drought can increase numbers as well because you have less moisture, but you have a shorter stand. And so cutting a shorter stand, again, cutting it when it's in that teenage stage of grass growth is going to give you a much more nutritious forage, which brings me to what we're trying to do here. And what we're trying to do is make something called haylage. And you guys have heard me talk about that, but I think, that really is going to be a shift in mentality for us. And we're going to shift that mentality from one of, oh my gosh, hay season's 120 to 150 days long, and, we just got to grin and bear it, right? We just, it's, so hard and so cold and this and that. Well, you know, that's fine, but what if we looked at that as in a different mentality? What if we said, you know what, we actually are going to take this very nutritious grass, clip it lower because we know that's more nutritious, and we're going to ferment that, and we're going to make a haylage product out of that. Put it in an anaerobic environment, let it ferment for at least 30 days, and then it's just phenomenal what you come out with here. And these are our numbers from our most recent haylage test here. I mean, even the doctor at OSU commented back on the email and said she was impressed, I believe was her words. And so again, they're 22% protein on this haylage. Again, just had this tested this year. These are grass clippings. Okay, 22% protein, 74 TDN. But look at that RFQ. RFQ almost 300. I think that's the highest I've ever seen. University of Georgia kind of gives us a scale on that RFQ. Premiums anything above 140. 110 to 139 is good. 90 to 109 is fair. And then anything below 90 is utility. So, you go comparing this haylage to hay, and I mean, there's just no comparison. But again, there's an issue there. If I just wanted to feed this haylage straight, I think I'm probably going to see some scouring because it's going to be too rich. And so being able to take some of the first cutting hay, kind of mix that, right? Monitor those manure pats, making sure everything's staying in the consistency that we want. The point here is this, a couple points really. Number one, there is a significant difference on the cutting of hay and the nutritional value in the cutting of hay. Again, in my context, based on our experience, okay, I've got the numbers to prove it, okay, and a shorter, greener forage is going to have more nutrition than something that's longer and seeded out. Okay, in my context, I have the numbers to prove it. Okay, and so I think again, shifting that strategy to one of defensive mode, that's 140 days or 120 to 150 days hay season. I mean, that's significant in our production model here. We've got to keep them gaining through the winter. And so keeping that mentality of, we're going to harvest haylage, we're going to lock in that nutrition by fermenting it. You're not going to do anything magical when you ferment it. It doesn't add nutrition. But what that's telling me is we have very, very lush spring pastures here. Okay, and you're locking that in. You're going to lose a little bit during the ferment, but it's not like the oxidative stress that you have during hay. Okay, so there's a whole strategy there. Maybe if there's enough interest, we'll make a video on our haylage process. It's small scale. I think that again, that's the advantage to the small farm is I don't have to scale. I have a mentality of I don't have to feed the world. That's not on me. I'm not trying to feed the world. I'm not going to feed the world. Okay, that's a lie. We're small scale, and so we can do it at a higher quality than those that feel like they have to scale. And that's just the bottom line. It's higher quality meat, higher quality everything, really. Somebody buys eggs from us, and they're going to get an egg that's no older than 2 days old. You're not going to find that in the system. So let's focus and let's major on what we do well, which is small scale, high quality, grass-fed beef, lamb, eggs, and help each other where we can. But I don't know, just gives you some kind of an idea, and just making the point here that there is a significant difference in when that hay is cut and harvested, and some of the options on what we can do to maintain quality, and kind of just a perspective and outlook, right, for the winter hay season. When you're grass-fed, you can still be on the offensive, you can still keep them gaining, but we've got to pay attention to the nutrition side, and reject that notion that longer pastures are going to somehow magically give you more nutrition for, just not true. A mix can be good. you know, because if you've got too green stuff, you'll see them scour. You know, I'll give you that, a good mix here. And we've got that right now. You know, we got some clover down low and then some of this stemmier stuff up high. They'll be able to balance out here. There's a place though, there's a place for good quality hay and silage, but all that depends on your goals and you know, what you're trying to do. Here, being grass-fed, I cannot do 3 years of hay. I've got to be able to do, you know, to calve in April and then take them 2 years out, so 24 months, and then I've got up to like 30 months. I cannot do that third season of hay and expect to be profitable. There's no way. There's no way. I've got to get them out of here you know, we got to be birthing in the spring and then have them out of here at the very latest by Thanksgiving, then that after that second year, so we don't have to do the hay season. But anyhow, just some thoughts today as we hang out here with the cattle. Looks like somebody got crapped on there. Yeah, okay, well, wait for the next rain shower. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out with me today. Appreciate you listening to me ramble here. If we can help you, get in touch. Hope you all are well. Stay blessed. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.